Hello and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados. My name is Hakon, and today I am playing the Citadel of Chaos Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 2, and I'm playing it for the second time. As you may recall, if you've seen the first episode, it didn't take me that long to die. I managed to go into a trap. Slid down into did some Indiana Jones, sliding down into some corridors and chutes and stuff, and later found myself in a prison cell, and I didn't have any other right spells to escape. So I will have to try again, and perhaps I should change my choice of spells this time, although I'm planning to take a different path. So there's been a few occasions now where it seems I've been able to use a Fool's Gold spell. Maybe I won't pick that because maybe those are the only times. I don't know. In any case, this is a slightly different game book to many of the others because it has a magic system, courtesy of Steve Jackson, the writer, who of course had some ideas probably carried forward from this book to his absolute epic masterpiece, Sorcery, which I will get to at some point, even though it's not technically part of the Fighting Fantasy series. I still have those books, and I have not played those yet either. But it's quite a big thing, so maybe I should do the other ones first. Maybe I'll take a break somewhere in between the others and do Sorcery. I haven't decided yet. For now, I'm doing the Fighting Fantasy game books in order. I did Fighting Fantasy number 1 last week, Warlock of Firetop Mountain. This week I am doing the Citadel of Chaos. Let's see how it goes. So I'll be ready in a few moments, and I will have to readjust my camera and things like that, and I will see you very shortly. Right, I am back. I've got my book, got my pens, my pencil, my dice, my paper for character sheet, and I've got the map that I made last time. Not a very long map, but still surprisingly tidy. I've also got myself a Frappuccino, just to have something to supplement my water. Because as we know, sometimes doing this kind of thing is very thirsty work. Oh, hang on. I really like the sound this one makes when you open it. Yeah, take a listen to this. There we are. Okay. So, this is my character sheet from last time. Not that much happened on it. Of course, I used one spell, and I lost a bit of luck. I think, you know what, I'm going to just keep the same spells. I'm going to roll for new stats. There we are. So, skill, first of all. So that's 1 die, 5. So I've got 11. Stamina, 2 dice, and that is 20. Luck, 12, and magic was 2 dice plus 6, 7, so that is 13. So I've got 2 more spells actually to take with me this time. So maybe, well, I did. Okay, I'll take 1 Fool's Gold and also 1 Strength spell as well. Right, let's cross these out properly. And I am ready to start over again. Are you ready? Yes, you are. Of course you're ready. You've been ready since, haven't you? I'm just waiting for me to get ready. Right. Let's play Citadel of Chaos. The lawful good folk of the Vale of Willow have lived for some 8 years in awe and fear of the demi-sorcerer Baltus Dire. In awe, since his power is truly awesome, and in fear ever since word leaked from his domain that his ambitious plans of conquest were to commence with the Vale itself. A faithful half-elf sent on a spying mission to the Black Tower came galloping back to the Vale 3 days ago with a frantic warning. From within the caverns of Crag and Rock, Baltus Dire had recruited an army of chaotics and was preparing them to attack the Vale within the week. The good King Solomon was a man of action. Messengers were sent throughout the Vale that day to prepare defences and to summon the menfolk to action. Riders had also been sent to the great forest of Yore to warn the half-elves that lived there and to make an appeal for allied forces. King Solomon was also a wise man. He knew well that the news would inevitably reach the Grand Wizard of Yore, a white sorcerer of great power, who lived deep within the forest. The wizard was old and would not last through a battle of this magnitude, but he schooled a number of young magicians, and perhaps one of his students in the magic arts with courage and ambition would aid the king and his subjects. You are the star pupil of the Grand Wizard of Yore. He has been a difficult master, and your own impatience has often got the better of you. Well, it sounds like you're a difficult student, not he a difficult master. Naughty, naughty. Perhaps a little too headstrong. You left immediately for Salomon's court. The king welcomed you enthusiastically and explained his plan. The battle could be avoided without bloodshed if Baltus were to be assassinated before his army could be amassed. The mission ahead of you is extremely perilous. Baltus Dire is surrounded in his citadel by a multitude of appalling creatures. Although magic is your strongest weapon, there will be times when you must rely on your sword to survive. King Solomon has briefed you on your mission and warned you of the dangers that lie ahead. One way through the citadel is the best for you to take. If you discover it, you will be successful with a minimum of personal risk. It may take you several trips to find the easiest way through. That's a bit out of character, isn't it? Say, oh, hello, my name is King Solomon. You're the great hero I'm looking for. You have to go on this suicide mission, and if you die, you come back and you try again, and you'll find the correct path eventually, and you will win for us. Oh, that's brilliant. Maybe they got star pupils all over the place from the Grand Wizard of Yore to, so once one has died, you just send in the next one. Anyway, and of course with ESP, they can tell the next one where to go, or where they've been. Leave the Vale of Willow on the long hike to the Black Tower. At the foot of the hill of Crag and Rock, you can see its outline against the dark sky. Now turn over. The sun sets. As twilight turns to darkness, you start your climb up the hill towards the forbidding shape silhouetted against the night sky. That's this charming little building there. The citadel is less than an hour's climb. Some distance from its walls you stop to rest, a mistake, as it seems a fearful spectre from which there is no escape. The hairs on your neck prickle as you look towards it. But you are ashamed of your fears. With grim resolve you march onwards towards the main gate, where you know guards will be waiting. You consider your options. You have already thought about claiming to be a herbalist, come to treat a guard with a fever. You could pose as a trader or an artisan, perhaps a carpenter. You could even be a nomad seeking shelter for the night. As you ponder the possibilities and the yarns you will have to spin to the guards, you reach the main trail leading up to the gates. 2 lanterns burn on either side of the portcullis. I'm doing either today. You hear muffled gruntings as you approach, and 2 misshapen creatures step forward. On the left stands an ugly creature with the head of a dog and the body of a great ape, flexing its powerful arms. Its opposite number is indeed its opposite, and with the head of an ape on the body of a large dog. This latter guard approaches you on all fours. It stops some meters in front of you, raises itself on its hind legs, and addresses you. Which story will you opt for? Will you pose as a herbalist? Will you claim to be a tradesman? Will you ask for shelter for the night? Well, last time I claimed to be a herbalist. That seemed to work rather well. I'm sticking to herbalists for now, so I'm going to 261. The ape dog asks to see your herbs. Luckily, you grabbed a few handfuls of weeds on your way and you show them. Cocking its head to one side, the creature eyes you suspiciously. It asks you for the name of the guard you have come to treat, something you hadn't planned on. You quickly think of a name to bluff the creature with. And of course, last time, the one I went with seemed to work as well, but the options are Kiltrog, Pincus, and Blag. And I went with Blag, and that seemed to work, so I'm going with Blag again. The creatures look at each other as if the name sounds familiar, but they can't quite place it. They quickly add that he is on the first floor watch. They shrug and eventually decide you may be telling the truth. The ape dog summons the gatekeeper, who eventually appears to let you in. What do you mean, appears to let you in? Are you saying that you're not sure if he'll let you in? Maybe you're just standing outside and you have an illusion of being let in? Well, he appears to let you in. Turn to 251. You walk forward into a spacious open courtyard, surrounded by large walls. Various lights are burning and groups of figures are shuffling around in the darkness. In the center of the courtyard is a large monument of some kind, perhaps a fountain. Looking across the yard, you can see what appears to be the main entrance to the tower. Will you creep around the wall towards the tower, stride boldly across the courtyard, or tiptoe through the shadows towards one of the groups? Now, last time I tiptoed, and I went to one group. This time I'm going to tiptoe and go to the other group. So, I'm going to 321, and this is where, of course, I will have to update my map. Right, so cautiously and keeping well out of sight, you creep through the darkness around the edge of the courtyard. There are two groups of creatures in front of you. To the right, you can see two human-like figures talking under a torch fastened to the wall. To the left, a group of four creatures of varying shapes and sizes are sitting around a fire, eating. Will you approach the two by the torch, or the group around the fire? So I'm going to go with the group around the fire and turn to 339. A motley crew sit around the fire. A warty-faced orc is handing out scraggy chunks of half-cooked meat to the others. A snarling dwarf with green skin is complaining about the size of his piece, while two scruffy goblins, a man and a woman, are cuddling each other. I suppose the dwarf would be complaining about the size of his piece, wouldn't it? It's quite wee, isn't it? They giggle and laugh, and every so often she slaps his ugly face, causing more merriment. As you approach, they stop and turn around to look at you with unwelcoming faces. They sneer at your neat appearance, and the female goblin whispers some comment to her mate. In front of the dwarf, you can see an open box. You can just make out a vial of liquid within it. Will you sit down with them around the fire, or ask them whether you may join them? Right, so either I just sit down, or I ask to sit down, sort of. So I will map it like so. So 134, sit, and 149, ask. If I ask, they're going to say no. I'm just going to sit down. So I'm going to 134. They are taken aback by your audacity. Rather than waiting for them to talk, you act aggressively and demand to know how to get into the Citadel. They point to the main entrance, obviously a little bewildered by your confident manner, and whisper amongst themselves. The orc tells you that you will need the password scimitar to get in. You ask about the vial of liquid within the box, whereupon they get agitated. Will you press them for more information about the vial, leave them ahead for the two men you saw earlier, or press on towards the Black Tower? So, that means I can go to, from here, 269, or 245, which is up there. So I'll just make an arrow like so. Or ask about the vials. So that is 60. I suppose I'm a bit curious. I'll ask about the vial, even though this might turn out badly, even though I sort of was a bit ahead now. The creatures become suspicious as you press them for information. The dwarf springs to his feet, brandishing a wooden club, while the goblin and the orc grab swords and glare at you. The goblin's mistress shrieks and steps back several paces as the others advance towards you. You will have to fight them. You may use a magic spell. So we have one of two options. Levitation, 33, levitate, or 295, illusion. I do have levitation, I do not have illusion, so I will go with levitation. That didn't work out so well. As you try to rise, the orc and the goblin grab you and hold you down, while the dwarf advances with his club. Turn to 213. Levitation is gone. So I'm going to 213. And that didn't work, so I'll just put a minus on that one. Or maybe I'll do one of my nice red squares there. Not to be confused with the one in Moscow. You draw your sword just in time as a dwarf is almost upon you. Fight each in turn. So that is fight 5, 6, 6, 4, 5, 7. If you win, go to 235. So let's see, 235. 235. You may escape during the battle by making off for the monument in the center of the courtyard. Go to 209. So there's 209 as well. So let's see. So that is escape. Okay. Right, so we have a battle. So my skill and stamina are 11, 20. The first one, 5, 6, 6, 4, and 5, 7. So I'm starting with fighting against a 5, 6. He rolls a 9. I roll an 11, so he's down to 4 hit points. Maybe I should do the battle just for new viewers who may not know this properly. When you have a normal melee combat, or armed combat really, as opposed to magic in this case, your opponent has a skill and you roll 2 dice for your opponent, you add it to the opponent's skill. I'll just show that now. So 5 plus 7, so he gets a total of 12. That is his attack score. You do the same for yourself. You take your skill, mine is 11, and I roll 2 dice plus 5. That's my attack score, that is 16. And then I compare the two, and if mine is higher, I injure my opponent. He gets 2 damage. If his is higher, he injures me. I get 2 damage. That is to say, my stamina goes down by 2. If the attack rolls are equal, nobody injures anyone. It's also possible, technically, to use luck in battles. I'm not using that until I know that there's spare luck to use, and I'm considering how many luck rolls I did last time, I'm saving that for more important things. And also my skill is so high, I shouldn't really need to use so much luck in battle. So that's me hitting him again, and he's down to 2 hit points. I do call it hit points rather than stamina because that's the Dungeons and Dragons terminology that I'm most used to, and that's also the one that's used in many other role-playing game systems. He rolls 2 and I roll an 11, so he is dead. Next one is the goblin. He's got 6 skill, so it's a little bit better. He rolls a 6. I roll an 8. He's down to 2. He rolls 3. I roll a 5, and he is down to 0. Last opponent is an orc. He's got 5 skill. He rolls 11. I roll 11, so he rolls 3. I roll 3. Oh my. He rolls 7. I roll 3. Mine's still better than his. So he's got 1 hit point left. He rolls a 3, and I roll a 9, and he is also dead. So that's how combat works, quickly and dirtily. I win, and I go to 235. Afraid that the commotion may have attracted attention, you peer out into the darkness. Nothing seems to be happening. Going through the pockets of the creatures, you find 8 gold pieces. So 8 gold. A copper-colored key. Copper key. A jar of dark, creamy ointment. Or you may take any 2 of these with you. Okay. Turning to the vial of liquid, you can make out an inscription on the lid written in runes. Your heart leaps as you realize that this is a potion of magic and is very rare. Within the vial is enough liquid for 2 doses, and each has the effect of raising your magic score by 1 point, allowing you the energy to use 1 extra spell. You may take this potion with you to use after using any spell. When you drink the potion, you need not cross that spell off your list. Okay, so that is interesting. So I've got a potion of magic with a K, and of course it's written with a K. That's, you know, how it's really powerful. CK, that might be, I don't know, that's a bit more new age, I think. Now you may carry on either towards the Citadel or over to the 2 men talking by the torchlight. So, right, so I'm going to take 2 of these items, it says. So the key or the ointment. I don't know, I like keys. Keys are usually quite useful. Ointments, maybe they're useful too, but I'm taking the gold. Yeah. I noticed there's 8 gold, maybe. Okay. Interesting enough. I'm taking the gold, the key, and of course the potion of magic, which had 2 doses. Right. And let's see. So that is okay. My mapping is a little bit on the edge there. I know it's edgy. It's a bit hard to see. So that is win 8 gold pot mag key. Very hard to see anything there. Right, so I now have the option to go over to the 2 people that I spoke to last time, and I think I will do that because I think the dagger looks interesting as well. So I will go over to, so I've got the option of going to 245, so 245 still, or to 269. I will go to 269 and check out those 2 guys again. These 2 fellows here. The 2 men are dirty and unkempt. As you approach, you can hear them arguing loudly about the price of a dagger. The taller of the 2 is obviously trying to sell the dagger to the other. He argues that the dagger is enchanted and is worth more than the other is willing to pay for it. As you come closer, he grabs you by the arm and asks you for your opinion on the price of the weapon. What will you say? Now, I know that if I say 10 gold pieces, he gives me the option of buying it for 9 gold pieces, which I don't have, but I can make it with Fool's Gold spell. I'm thinking perhaps if I say 8 gold pieces, maybe he'll sell it to me for 8 gold pieces because I just found 8 gold pieces, and maybe that's the reason why that number is 8. So, by that logic, I will go to 186, and I'm going to say that it's 8 gold pieces is the correct value of the dagger. The The tall man agrees and persuades the shorter man that this is a fair price. The short man mumbles and curses, offering 6 and then 7 gold pieces, but the price has been fixed at 8. You may, if you wish, offer the tall man 8 gold pieces yourself, although you will have to conjure up some fool's gold to give to him if you want to do this. That's not true. My first typo of the day has been spotted, because at this point you actually can have 8 gold pieces. If not, the short man eventually agrees to the price, buys the dagger, and leaves. You may remain to talk to the dark tall man, etc. So, right. So I am. So it's 15 by. Or let's see, 83. I have to move this up here now. Talk. Or 245, continue. That's going to the gate. So I'm going to go and to 15, even though I'm not using a fool's gold spell, I am actually using gold. And I'll cross the gold off my character sheet. Let's see, so that is my, so yes, typo, I'll just put that there. I call it a typo. It's not technically a typo, it's a continuity error. But I'll just call them all typos just for simplicity's sake. The dagger is indeed a work of art and was undoubtedly worth a fair price. The blade is made of shiny metal and the hilt is a peculiar green leather with inlaid stones. You read an inscription which tells you that this is an enchanted throwing dagger which never misses. In a future combat, you may use this dagger to throw at an opponent. It will automatically inflict 2 stamina points of damage without the need to roll for attack strength, but you may use it only once. You put the dagger into your belt and set off toward the Citadel. So that is a throwing dagger. So 2 damage, automatic, 1 use. Okay, so and I'm going to 245. As you set off towards the Citadel, although the night air is calm, you hear a faint whistling, which rapidly gets louder and louder until a strong gust of wind suddenly hits you with such a force that you can barely move against it. You shield your eyes until the blast retreats slightly, and as you open them, you see a ghostly female face inside what appears to be a living whirlwind. She mouths words at you which you cannot make out, but some seconds after she has finished talking, the message reaches you. She seems to find your appearance offensive and is challenging you with words of abuse. You grab at your sword, but she laughs. Will you ignore her and continue? So this is ignore. I didn't do that last time. Talk to her. Turn to 390. That didn't seem to work so well. Or use your magic to see her off. Not sure what that would be. Ignore. Magic. Magic, ignore. I'm going to try magic this time. So I'm going to go to 47. What spell will you use? So I've got 3 options now. My map is going to look much untidier after this second run, that's for sure. So I can use creature copy, illusion, which I don't have still, or levitation, which I used up, which leaves creature copy. And I've got 3 of those, so I don't need to use my potion of magic yet. So I'm going to cross one of those off my list. So I'm down to 2 creature copies. And I'm going to number 8. She watches in astonishment as an exact duplicate of herself appears between the 2 of you. She backs off a little and you instruct your creation to attack, but as they get close to one another, a strange thing happens. They seem unable to get close to one another, like 2 spinning tops, and keep bouncing apart. But your own copy has at least forced the creature back some distance away from you, allowing you to run to the Citadel's main entrance. Turn to 218. I thought as much because there was the thing, if you talk to her like I did last time, one of the things you try to tell her is you saw another creature just like her. So that's sort of a hint. I think that was the right thing to do. So I'm going to 218, which is over there. And on my map, in front of you is a large wooden door, firmly locked. You may either knock 3 times for the guard, or you may use a strength spell to try to open it. I am going to knock. Now I know the secret password. The door opens and a large, brutish creature steps out. It has a sharp horn in the middle of its forehead, and its skin appears to be armor-plated, also known as a rhinoceros. It grunts to ask you what you want and demands the password before letting you in. Do you know the password? If so, turn to 273. If not, you will have to bluff your way in. Turn to 198. So I know the password, and I'm going to 273. Is the password Scimitar, Ganges, or Kraken? So we have 3 options again. I know I technically don't need to map these out because, well, actually I don't need to map them out because I'm not going to choose anything but Scimitar. And I'll only need to map them out when I'm doing my final map. So, and I'm going to use Twine anyway. So to keep this tidy, I will just use the only one that I will choose. So that is 371. Scimitar. I'll just indicate that there are other options I'm not going to put on the map. So the creature grunts and opens a door to let you in. Turn to 177. So that is 177. We've been there before as well. Okay. You are in a narrow hallway. This continues for several meters and ends in a doorway. Halfway along the passage you can see an archway where some steps lead downwards. Will you go forwards to the door or creep down the steps? So last time I went to the door and then I went through there and there was some other things going on as well. There's another route I can take, but I was a bit curious to go down. So this time I'm going to go down the steps and see what there is downstairs. You follow the stairs downwards. The air is cool and stagnant. At the foot of the stairs is a door. Will you try the door? Turn to 7 or climb the stairs again and go up to the door on the ground floor. So, of course, this is actually the right way to go if there is something interesting down here. So, I am going to see there. So that is 7 door. Or 5 back up again. So I'm going to check the door in this case and have a look and see. The door is locked. You may try to break it down by charging it with your shoulder, turn to 268, or you may cast a strength spell on yourself and try to wrench the door off its hinges. No keys. No, that's not the key that I got. Break it down. I do have a strength spell. Maybe I'll want to keep that for later. Maybe. So let's see. My options. 268 charge. 116. 1116 as I wrote there. And strength. Spell. I'm going to try to charge it with my shoulder first of all. That seemed to work rather well in Warlock of Firetop Mountain. As you hit the door, the wood cracks a little but does not give. You try it again, and this time the wood splits down the middle. You break your way through into the room behind it. Turn to 210. So that seems to be the best option in that case, so don't waste a strength spell on a door like that. You now stand in a large round room. It is lit by a single torch fixed into one wall. There is no furniture in the room, save for a rough wooden table and chair in the center. Hovering above the table, fast asleep, is a very small man dressed in a green shirt and pantaloons. He cannot be more than a meter tall, and you cannot believe that he is still asleep after your noisy entrance. You hear a creak and turn to your right in time to see a small catapult fire a missile of some sort straight at you. It is going to hit you unless you use a shielding spell. No shielding spell. If you use this spell, turn to 192. Let's see, so shielding spell. If you cannot or will not, so that means let's see, so 192 spell and 359 no spell. So I can't, and so I'm going to 359. You try to duck, but cannot avoid the full impact of the missile, which hits you on the forehead and splatters all over your face. You brace yourself, waiting perhaps for an acidic reaction to take place, but the mushy liquid merely drips off your face onto the ground. Cautiously you test it, first with your finger, then with your tongue. You've just been hit by a ripe tomato. You turn to face the sleeping figure once more. Turn to 29, so maybe not having a spell there was a good thing. 29. Cautiously you approach the little man. As you get close, a single eye opens and looks you straight in the face. A wide grin spreads between the creature's ears and he disappears. "Good morning to you," says a chirpy little voice behind you, and you swivel around to see him standing there, still grinning. "I'm O'Sheamus the leprechaun." I can't do an Irish accent. He chuckles and holds his hand out to you. He seems friendly enough. Will you shake his hand and try to befriend him, or draw your sword? I don't know, shaking a leprechaun's hand. Not too sure about that. But the option is to draw the sword. So 271, shake, or fight. I'm going to shake his hand. I know my track record in shaking hands isn't very good. I mean, it did kill me in Return to Fire of Mountain, but let's try. You grasp his hand and introduce yourself and cry out as the nerves down your arm go numb. O'Sheamus bursts out laughing. Lose 1 skill point as you were using your sword arm. Right, so it's... I did have a bad feeling about it. Let's see, one is 1 skill. You are becoming angry, but the little man continues to shake your hand and laugh. A laugh comes from behind you, and you look around to see him floating in the air, grinning, but you're still shaking his hand in front of you, or are you? In fact, you now realize you are frantically shaking hands with a stuffed dummy, which is flopping around on the end of your arm as you shake it. You throw it to the ground, but it is stuck to your hand. The situation is ludicrous, and you are becoming very angry. "Just a little joke," says the leprechaun, who snaps his fingers. The dummy disappears. "Now, what can I do for you?" Would ask him the way onwards, or draw your sword. Right, so mischievous little bastard. So I'm going to like that, or 348 onwards. Question mark. I'm going to ask about the way onwards, see if it's got any hints for me. Oh, I shouldn't go this way, says O'Shamus. These are not pleasant paths. These 3 doors are the only ways onward. 2 of them are very dangerous, and the other is very smelly. On the opposite side of the room are 3 doors. One has a brass handle, one has a copper handle, and one has a bronze handle. Right. Which will you choose? So, brass handle, copper handle, bronze handle, or ask advice. Okay, I'm thinking that he's going to try to trick me again, isn't he? Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So 68 advice. I think I'm going to ask his advice regardless, because if he's trying to trick me, that might still help me. Copper, brass, bronze. 154. Of course, I'm actually thinking about the copper one, because I had a copper key, didn't I? 54 bronze. So I'm going to ask his advice first of all. Which would I take, he muses. Let's see. I would not take the 2 doors to the left of the copper-handled one, nor the door to the right of the bronze-handled one. Okay, now which order were they in? Anyway, so... Let's see, that wasn't quite clear, was it? Let's see, 3, 4... It doesn't say which order they're in. Two are very dangerous and the other is very smelly. Brass, copper, bronze. So I presume that is brass, copper, bronze in that order. So if it's brass, copper, bronze, and then he says you wouldn't take the 2 doors to the left of the copper one. That's 1, 2, so that's bronze. Nor the door to the right of the bronze handle one, that's brass, which leaves copper. So that's the one I wanted to take anyway. So I will go with the copper handled one in that case. I'll go to 22. Also, of course, with the smelling thing, I'm sort of thinking, well, copper sulfide is the thing, isn't it? That's quite smelly. And yeah. So I was thinking about that too, actually. You open the door and step out into a long, dark corridor. Turn to 188. Now let's have to check out the other doors some other time. So 188. A sudden intense flash of light bursts out in front of you. You shield your eyes and then rub them, but you cannot see. Panic hits you as you hear a low growling noise. Padded footsteps come closer and you cry out in pain as this unseen creature roars and embeds its sharp teeth in your leg. Will you cast a strength spell, cast a weakness spell, or draw your sword and slash out at the creature? So, do not have a weakness spell. I do have a strength spell. Maybe this is the time for that. So I'm going to draw out my options here. So that is 301 strength, 159 weakness, or 51 sword. I shall try a strength spell. Let's see. You feel strength surging through your body. You try to wrestle with the head of this creature, but its own strength seems also to have increased to match yours. Your leg is now useless and covered in blood. Your strength begins to fade, and as it does so, the creature's jaws close on your throat. Consciousness fades. Turn to 323. Okay, that does not seem to be the right choice. And I'm going to 323. I wonder if I'm going to survive that one. You wake and look around. As your memory returns, you are amazed that you can see. Your leg feels tender but is uninjured. You hear a small chuckle coming from above you, and suddenly the whole thing makes sense. Floating above you is O'Shamus, now laughing loudly. The whole thing... Oh, by the way, I was meaning to... I'm using one of my magic potion things to keep my strength spell, by the way. The whole thing has been one big practical joke. You're enraged and leap to your feet, but as you glare at the funny little man rolling about in the air in hysterics, you can't help but see the funny side too. You chuckle and giggle and laugh loudly. For some time the two of you roar with laughter until tears stream down your faces. When you are both able to control yourselves, you eventually settle down to chat. He is a pleasant little man. Before you leave, he says, "Indeed, you are a good sport. Your way ahead is fraught with danger, though, but perhaps these will help you." With a wave of his hand, a sword and a plate appear on the table. The sword is a magic battle sword and will add 1 point to the dice roll when throwing for your attack strength. The plate is, in fact, a silver mirror of fine workmanship. You may take these with you, but you will have to leave your old sword behind. That's not a big problem. So I got a sword +1 attack and a silver mirror. Surprisingly often you need mirrors in these games because you have gorgons and basilisks and medusas and stuff like that. So I may leave then through the brass, the copper, or the bronze handle door. So let's see. And of course now the numbers are different than the ones before. I'm still going for the copper one. So I'm going to mess up my map by drawing it down here. Actually, I should do it like that probably. So 3 touches. I'm going to 386. Brass. 144. Copper. 338. Bronze. Now, the big question is, was that practical joke a way for him to indicate that this was the wrong door? Or was he just pulling my leg because it was the right door? He said the right way was smelly. There's nothing smelly about the experience I had there. I'm still going with copper, though. I'm still going with copper for now. I'll have to change my mind later, probably. The door opens and you enter a narrow corridor. You follow it for some time until you finally come to another door, this time a wide carved door with the inscription "Wine Cellar" set into it. You try the handle and it opens. Poking your head round the door, you can see rows and rows of racks full of bottles. Full of wine? The room is dimly lit by several candles. Your opening the door has caused a little bell to ring, and a figure is limping towards you up one of the aisles. Will you draw your sword and prepare to defend yourself, or see what this fellow might have to say? There's this charming looking fellow right there. Nice picture, by the way. Another one. Very interesting style, Russ Nicholson. Right, so I've got two options. So 154 sword or 56 talk. I'm going to go with talk. I'm not going to just rush into battle all the time. Let's try to be a bit clever. The black elf approaching you is skinny and ragged. He asks whether you're a guest or an adventurer. Tell him you're a guest, come down to sample the wine he keeps in his famous wine cellar. With a certain pride he shows you the vintage bottles he keeps for his lord, the demi-sorcerer. Some of them, he claims, have magical powers. He offers to let you sample the wine. Will you try a sample of the red wine, the white wine, the rosé wine, or decline his offer and make your way onwards? So we have options 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we go like this. Some fancy arrows there. So we have 120 red, 163 white, 334 rosé, or 95 decline. I'm thinking, of course, I do like red wine. I like the taste of red wine. It does give me a headache sometimes. I do like white, but I'm mostly partial to a rosé. So in this case, I will go with a rosé and go to 334. You take a couple of sips. Not bad. You take a mouthful, but as you do so, you wonder why the elf is chuckling. Suddenly he asks whether you really are a guest. Although your mind is confirming that you are indeed a visitor, your voice is telling him that you are not. You have come to put an end to Baltus Dyer's plans of conquest. You curse as you realize that the wine must be spiked with a truth serum. The black elf now knows of your mission and must be prevented from telling others. You draw your sword, and as you do so, he pulls a small metallic device from the pouch tied around his waist. With a touch, it turns into a saw-edged weapon. Turn to 275. Okay, so that is not the right choice in that case. Rosé minus and red square. And we are going to 275. Let's see. You recognize the device as a pocket myriad, an enchanted gadget which can become any one of a number of weapons or useful artifacts. You both close for battle. You may fight him with your sword. So, of course, I got my +1 attack now. Or you may cast a spell. If you cast a weakness spell, this skill is reduced to 5. If you cast a creature copy spell, an identical black elf with a pocket myriad will fight the elf. Resolve the battle between them, and if the original black elf wins, you must finish him off yourself. If you wish to cast an illusion spell, 10 to 399. If you fight him and win, 10 to 272. So we've got 399 and illusion and 272 win. And let's see, this is L8 4 and an asterisk because there are special rules here because of the magic options, so I can do that, sort that out later if I need to. Skill 8, stamina 4. I should just fight him, I think. So 8, 4. I got 10, 20, but of course I got my +1 attack roll. So practically, for practical purposes, I can just call that 11, 20. So I'm 3 ahead of him. So he rolls 10. I roll 7. That is a draw. He rolls 11. I roll 6, so he injures me for 2 points. He rolls an 8. I roll an 8, so that is my hitting him. He rolls a 3, good, and I roll a 6, and he is dead. I win, and I turn to 272. Oh, that's actually not very good structure here because the victory paragraph is right here. It should not be on the same page or the same spread. You go through his pockets and find 8 gold pieces. Again, that seems to be the going rate for 8 gold again. There we are. The pocket myriad has unfortunately been damaged in the fight, but you may be able to find some use for it and may take it with you. So I've got a pocket myriad. That's quite a nice name. I like that, pocket myriad. And of course, for those who don't know, a myriad is literally, it's a grouping of 10,000 things. Of course, now it's come to mean as very specific, or a very unspecified and large number of things. But from ancient Greek, myriados, something like that, myriados, 10,000 things, a grouping of 10,000. Right. Yes. So now you may either investigate the wine cellar, 10 to 242, or press on, which is 95. Okay, so that's the same as if I decline tasting the wine, so that is the same one. So I can do 242, investigate, invest, to do, yeah. Or I may go down to 95. I'm going to investigate, of course. Of course I'm going to investigate. The bottles and caskets contain hundreds of different types of wine. Some are exceedingly old and valuable. In one corner of the room there is a table laid out for sampling, with 2 bottles and glasses. Will you try a sample of the red wine or the white wine? Or will you try neither and press onwards? Right, if you decide to leave, you may take a bottle of wine off one of the racks with you for your journey. So red or white. So 24 red, 105 white. I'm going to try the red wine. 24. You taste the wine, and as you are considering its flavor, you hear a clinking noise. You turn to look in the direction that the noise is coming from, and you're horrified to see that the bottles in the racks are moving on their own. One bottle flies from its place and hurtles towards you, narrowly missing your head and smashing on the wall behind you. Another flies at you, then another, until you are being pelted by bottles from all directions. You realize that your only defense is to use a shielding spell. Cast this spell if you can and turn to 372. So again, shielding would have been nice. If you cannot cast a spell, turn to 219. So we've got 372 shielding or 219 no spell. So 219 it is, no spell for me. You duck and cover your head. A bottle hits you, then another, but you don't feel a thing. How could this be? Then you realize what is happening. The wine must have contained some hallucinatory potion that is making you imagine the bottle attack. In an instant the noise ceases. You look up to see that, as you suspected, all the bottles are in place on their racks. With great relief you press onwards and leave the wine cellar. Turn to 95. I didn't get to pick up a bottle now, but okay, so that is very interesting. Some really interesting things here with the illusions and the also with the leprechaun as well, where he makes illusions for you. I really like this. This is very nice work, Steve Jackson. Yes, very good. I knew that I was going to like the Steve Jackson book. Had a hunch that he was my kind of writer. Clever stuff. Right. So I'm getting 95. Yes, that's where I'm going. I'm going to 95. At the far end of the wine cellar is a wooden door, which you try. It opens out into a passageway which leads onwards for several meters. Turn to 367. So I'm going to move my around here a little bit and go to there, 367. Some way along the passage you arrive at a 4-way junction. You take a path to the north, which eventually leads you to a large wooden door. You can hear nothing by listening at the keyhole. We try to open the door slowly and quietly. Turn to 308, or charge through the door. Charge the door down. Turn to 121. That's an unusual set of options there, which I find quite intriguing. So 121 charge, or 308 slowly. So door, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to, well, both could actually be advantageous for some reasons or others, but I'm going to open it slowly and gently and see what happens. The handle turns and you step into a dark room. Turn to 257. So, there we are. 257 and some more. Yeah, that was the end of my frappuccino. Right. So this is what I can see here. You look around the room. It's lit only by your torch. Although a fairly large room, it has little furniture in it, although a large boulder sliced flat resembles a table, and a smaller rock forms a sort of stool behind it. In one corner, a pile of rocks are held together with mud. You cannot imagine their purpose, although they support 3 wooden chests. Then you jump with fright as your torch lights up a large creature seemingly made of rock itself, standing by a door. It is roughly human-shaped, although somewhat larger. Its eyes are staring straight at you, but you cannot be sure it is actually seeing you. Will you run for the other door, attempt to speak with the creature, or move slowly towards the boxes in the corner? Right, that is some kind of golem, I suppose. And as usual, we got our 3 options, which I quite like. More fun with 3 than with 2. So 237 door, 357 speak, or 200 move. I'm going to try to speak with the creature. The creature is apparently deaf-mute. You hail it in all the languages you know, but it continues to stand silently. You make a move towards the center of the room. Turn to 200. So speaking does not do anything. I suppose it will get triggered soon, though. At your first movement, the creature seems to break from its trance and step towards you. Seeing this, you may either run for the door at the far end of the room, or make for the boxes and risk taking on this silent giant. So I'm going to run for the door or go for the boxes. I'm going to go for the boxes. Because boxes contain things. Sometimes they contain things that are vital in succeeding in your quest. The golem advancing towards you is a slow-moving creature, and you reach the boxes easily. You curse as you find they are all locked. As you struggle with the locks, the golem closes on you. You may draw your sword and fight the creature, cast a fire spell, cast a creature copy spell, or forget the boxes and race for the door. So we've got 4 options. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'll soon have to go to a new page. Well, if I'm still alive to go to a new page. So 190, copy. 4, fire. I can't imagine fire really working against stone so much. Or maybe it'll get a bit stiffer. Or maybe it'll make him limber up and move faster. 237 door. Oh, hang on. That's actually the same as the other one now. That might still work easily. Or 303. Fight. I'm thinking I'm going to try a creature copy spell for this one. So, of which I used to have 3, now I've got 1 left. Still don't need to use my Potion of Magic on that. I already used that once though. So, I'm going to creature copy and go to 190. A perfect copy of the golem forms in front of you. You command it to attack the real golem, which is now almost upon you. Resolve the Battle of the Golems. That's a nice title, isn't it? The Battle of the Golems. For WrestleMania, which number have they got you now? Let me see. Through up to what 30 something, isn't it? Anyway. Right. If your creation beats the original, turn to 147, etc. If it doesn't, then you have to fight it and turn to 147. So I've got 8-10 versus 8-10. So I'll do the as usual. I'll do the monster first, or the one that's being fought first. So he rolls a 12. My golem rolls 6, so he's down to 8. He rolls a 7. I roll a 3. That's not going well, is it? He rolls a 9. I roll an 8. He rolls an 8. I roll a 9. He rolls 9. I roll 3. He rolls an 8. I rolled a 6, and my golem is dead. That wasn't much use, was it? He only did 2 damage on him. So that means I have to keep fighting him. I'm at 10-18 because I got my +1 sword, so that's 11-18 for practical purposes. So he rolls 4, I roll 3, so that's him getting injured. He rolls an 8, I rolled a 6, that is... Oh, hang on. I'm 3 ahead, so that's still me actually. He rolls 5, I roll an 11. And he rolls an 8, and I roll an 8. So that means the golem is dead, and that wasn't very useful use of a creature copy spell. But there you go. Maybe that's the last chance I'll have of using one before I die. So, right, and I'm going to 147 after that. So let's see. It's a 147 win. The golem crashes to the ground and breaks into pieces. With relief, you walk over to the boxes to examine them. So now we got a few options. We got 3 boxes. So so we got 260 first, 129 second, and 370 third box. So boxes. I'm going to go for the first box first. And that's probably what he wants me to do. Maybe that's where there's a trap. After some struggling, the box opens. Inside is a silver key. Will you try to use the key on the second box, try to use the key on the third box, or take the key and make for the exit tool? Interesting. Interesting. So silver key. I'm going to try to use the key on the third box. Let's see. So that is now... so I've got 237 is an option. And then it's 299 and 34. 299. 34. The key will not turn, no matter how hard you try. In your frustration, you throw the box on the ground, and it vanishes. You grope around for the invisible box, but cannot feel it anywhere. Total despair, you turn towards the door and set off once more towards your goal. Turn to 237. Now that is really cool, actually. So, how your choices affect the outcome in that case. So maybe that silver key is useful for the third box. This is one you do not want to do. But maybe 34. So I'm going to do like that and put a question mark there. Right, so 237. And you open the door and step forwards into a passageway, which runs eastwards for several meters and then ends at the foot of a staircase. You climb the stairs and eventually find yourself in a narrow passageway again. A short distance ahead, you can see an opening into a large, well-lit room. You press on forwards, turn to 169. So we have here, going to 169, and I think that this is my cue of a second page. So we have here, starting at the bottom, in the middle, 169, and we came from 237. There we are. Ooh, very nice picture again. Well done, Russ. The room you are in is some sort of grand dining hall. A long table large enough to seat some 40 or 50 people stands in the center, edged with chairs. Various doors and passageways. He really likes the word passageway, doesn't he, Steve Jackson? Passageways lead from the room, but you are particularly interested in two wide staircases which lead upwards to either end of a balcony overlooking the hall. Paintings and suits of armor decorate the walls. The room is empty. Will you take the left-hand staircase upwards? Take the right-hand staircase upwards? Investigate the paintings or investigate the suits of armor? Right, that gives us lots of options. So we've got, I'll just do it like so, I think. So it's paintings, 317 paintings. I'm not able to read my own writing, I think, when I do it like that, but I think it's 151 armor, 19 left, and 197 right. I'm going to check out the paintings. Paintings often have clues in them, so... The paintings are portraits of various lords and earls prominent in the kingdom of Crag and Rock. Behind a chair at the head of the table is a portrait of Baltus Dyer himself. He does indeed look a powerful adversary. Add 1 luck point for the warning of his appearance, but lose 1 stamina point for the feeling of fear he instills. I actually haven't used luck, have I? Let's see, so we got +1 luck, -1 stamina. Right, and my stamina is, let's see, 16, 15, 15. You may now continue either up the left-hand staircase or the right-hand staircase. So I only get to choose paintings or armor, not both. That is interesting as well. So we've got left or right. And I presume if you look at the armor, you can either have to go on as well, most likely. I'm going to go the left, by the way. Left-hand staircase. The staircase creaks as your foot falls on it. You try to ascend as quietly as possible, but the old timbers groan under your weight. One could say that they're shivering. Shiver me timbers. Suddenly one of the stairs clicks as if to trigger a switch of some kind. To your surprise, all of the stairs flick downwards. You are now standing on a smooth, steep slope. Try as you might, you cannot keep your balance and you fall down the slope, tumbling head over heels. If you wish to use a levitation spell, you may fly up and out of danger to land on the balcony above, Otherwise turn to 254. So that was a trap, and presumably then the right hand side is the correct one. So we've got the option of levitate or otherwise. So we've got levitate, 360 levitate, or 254. Right. I've already used my levitation spell. Can't levitate. So I'm going to 254. You roll down the stairs, across the room, and finally crash into the wall on the far side of the hall. That's quite a fall, isn't it? You twist your elbow badly, lose 1 skill and 2 stamina points. So skill down to 9, stamina down to 13. And then take the other staircase up, turn to 197. So let's see. So that is the over there. Now, could I use my stamina potion anytime? Or stamina spell? Let's have to have a look at that. Because it's soon time for me to use my stamina spell. Stamina spell can be cast anytime except in battle. And it gives you back the half your initial score rounded down. So my initial score is 20, so I'm going to get 10 back. So of course if I use it now, I'm going to get 7 back, but maybe it's time to use it just to be on the safe side. So I'm using one of my stamina spells, getting back up to 20. I've got 2 left. And then I'm going to 197. I think I'm getting closer to the end here. The stairs are well worn and creak under your weight. Cautiously you climb up to the balcony. Turn to 363. So 363, which is 363. Okay, so I see that is actually the same as the levitate spell will get you there. Okay. Along the balcony are 3 doors. Will you try the door to the left, center, or right? So we've got um, 228 left, and of course the traditional 3 choices now. 64 center, or 304 right. I'm going to go left again. Surely left can't be bad 2 times in a row, can it? Famous last words. The locked door is very strong and made of solid oak. It is unlikely you will break it down, but you may try. Otherwise, you could use a strength spell to smash it. The lock is copper, and you could try using a copper key if you have one. So I will use a copper key, obviously, but so we have. So 88 smash, 170 strength, or 296 copper key. I'm going to use the copper key. 296. The key turns and the door opens. Turn to 292. 292. Right. The room is an elegant bedchamber, plushly decorated with fine lace and fur carpet. In the center of the room is a large 4-poster bed. Sitting up in the bed, evidently awakened by all the commotion, is a beautiful sylph-like woman with long dark hair and deep piercing eyes. "What right have you in here?" she screams at you. With those words, her eyes turn blood red and 2 jets of liquid fire shoot from them directly at you. Will you create a shielding spell to protect yourself? Leave the room? tell her you have a special gift for her. Right. Interesting painting there. I'm thinking maybe I'll give her the mirror or something, because she might find that quite horrible to look at. So we've got the options of shielding. Again, one I don't have. Shielding. 64, leave. Or 42, gift. So I'm going to say I have a gift for her. I'm going to 42. Let's see. She blinks and the jets of fire disappear. What will you offer her? A silver mirror, a hairbrush, or a jar containing a Spider-Man? Silver mirror, obviously. I don't have a hairbrush or a Spider-Man jar, do I? So let's see. So we've got 3 options, which also indicates to me a little bit about the items I have missed on the way. It's always interesting when you get to points where you get to use items, because you sort of see the things you have to go back and find somewhere else, which you may or may not have any use for. That happened to me a lot in Cabins of the Snow Witch. 223 Spider-Man. Indeed. Okay. If you have none of these, you must make some excuse about losing your gift and go back onto the balcony, where you may take either the middle door or the far doors. Okay, that's not too scary then. So I'm going to do the which means that we also have the option of going 64 or 304 as well. Okay, so we've got silver mirror 138. I'm going to try that. What do I want with that? She exclaims. Again, her eyes turn deep red and the jets of fire shoot towards you. So that is a no-no. Maybe the hairbrush was the way to go. We've got the shielding spell, 2376. So that is back down there again. Or leave the room, 10-64. Oh, I can only go to the middle room when I'm doing that. Okay, so... Oh, that's actually the same paragraph twice there, 64. So that's interesting. I can't go to the right room when I'm just leaving now from this here. So maybe the right room is the interesting one. 64. You listen at the door and can hear squeaky voices laughing and squabbling. You try the handle and the door opens. Inside is a brightly coloured room. A few small beds are in one corner, and strewn about the floor are small mannequins of various brutish creatures. Along the right-hand wall is a large box, and just beyond the box is a door. In the centre of the floor and looking up at you quizzically are 3 small creatures. They are human-like, but have green skin, pointed ears and slit-like eyes. What will your approach be? Will you draw your sword and prepare to fight them, look in your pack for something to offer them, or walk confidently across the room to the far door? Do I have anything they might be interested in? Broken pocket myriad, silver mirror. Mustn't forget I got the throwing dagger. So my options are 286. Fight. Let's do like that, I think. Back 366. Walk. I'm going to look in my pack, because this will give me an indication again of things I may have missed. So what will you offer them? A pocket myriad, a spider in a jar, or a handful of small berries? Okay, so and let's see, 327 myriad, 59 spider, 2 36 berries. I'm going to try with the myriad because at least I have the myriad. So 327. They take your pocket myriad and play with it gleefully. While they are suitably distracted, you can creep past them to the door on the far side of the room. Cross your gift off your equipment list. Because that seemed to work. Okay. 366. I don't see why I needed to distract them, because it's just exactly the same effect as just walking across the room. There you go. As you stride past them, the little creatures watch you silently. They seem merely to find you interesting. You feel that something is not quite right here. Turn to 140. You leave the room and head down a short corridor. Some meters down you find yourself at the foot of a staircase. This is a spiral staircase which leads right up into the Citadel tower. You climb the stairs cautiously and eventually arrive on a small landing with two doorways in front of you. Will you take the left-hand door or the right-hand door? So we've got... 25 and left, 104 right. I'm going to go with the left door again. The door opens, allowing you into a large circular room. You scratch your head quizzically. In the center of the room you can see a small island surrounded by a wide trench on which stands a chest locked with metal fastenings. The trench is too wide to jump and is very deep. Just inside the door is a length of rope. A door leads from the room, opposite the door you came in through. Will you ignore the box and walk around the trench to the other door, cast a strength spell and leap across the trench, pick up the rope and formulate a plan? Right. Tricky. So we've got 206, ignore. 133, strength again. I still have a strength spell if I want it. And 239, rope. It's a bit unreliable for jumping, isn't it? I would imagine. I'm going to ignore the box. I'm just going to keep going now. This looks like a trap, doesn't it? You leave through the door and find yourself at the foot of another spiral staircase leading up into the Black Tower. Climbing the stairs, you eventually come to a landing where a single door is the only way onwards. You try the door, it opens slowly. Turn to 182. So we have 182. No choices there. You feel yourself sucked into the room, as if by magic your torch flickers and dies. The room is pitch black. From nowhere yet everywhere comes a mocking laugh which fills the room. "Foolish adventurer," says another voice, which changes its tone from high to low as it speaks. "Foolish adventurer, welcome to the home of the Ganges. Unfortunately, it will be the last room you will ever see." "Ah, but of course. You cannot see, can you? But we can see you, can't we, brothers?" And laughing voices come from all around you. Suddenly a ghostly white luminous face flies towards you. You recoil in horror, throwing yourself on the ground and begin to feel very frightened. Lose 1 skill, 2 stamina and 1 luck. So, skill again, down, stamina down, luck down for the first time actually. What can you do here? Create a fire spell. Okay, so we got, let's see, Ganges. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 options. 85, fire. 395, illusion. I'm thinking fire might actually allow me to see. 322 artifacts. Or draw my sword, 248 sword. I'm presuming usually drawing my sword would be the least effective thing in a situation like this. I'm going to try to make a fire spell this time, so I'm going to try to use a fire spell. You cast your spell and wait for a fireball to appear on the end of your torch. Torch flickers just enough for you to see that there is a door on the far side of the room, but then goes out again. The Gandhis laugh once more at your efforts to thwart them. You feel a blow on the head which knocks you to the ground again. Lose 2 stamina points, so that didn't work very well. So fire is a no. Illusion spell, can't do it. Actually, I should use my... I've got a skill spell. I should use that, shouldn't I? So I'm not going to use my potion of magic on the fire spell. I'm going to leave that. Try something from my backpack. I'm going to try something from my backpack then, because let's see. Just to see what kind of things that might include, so I know what to look for later. No, that's sort of not quite right, is it, when you think about it? So, what would you pull from your backpack? A spider in a jar. So, that spider in the jar shows up everywhere as an option, doesn't it, just? So, I've got 1, 2, 3 options. So, we got 39. Spider again. Amulet. Oh, let's see, 168. Amulet, or jar of ointment that I didn't bring. Ointment that I didn't pick up at the expense of something else. So I have none of these, and I will have to draw my sword. So there we go. I'm going to draw my sword and go to 248. This is not going to end well, is it? A silence spreads over the room. Suddenly a blood-curdling scream comes from one corner and a hideous face appears in the air, shooting towards you, screaming as it comes. Your hair stands on end and your legs turn to jelly. Somehow you manage to reach the door, fling it open and race through. However, you have forgotten that you are high in a tower and the balcony has no railing. You tumble over the ledge and fall straight down. If you have a levitation spell, none left, turn to 103, otherwise you land in a crumpled heap at the base of the tower and your broken body breathes its last breath. So, right, so we have 103 levitation, otherwise the end. So let's see, so the end. Right, that was my second playthrough of the Citadel of Chaos. I definitely got a bit further this time, but I'm still quite in the dark at the end, quite literally, about what to do next. There's certainly a lot of places here where I haven't explored. I mean, there certainly is. It looks like I'm on the right track to where I'm going to go, but there is an indication there are other items I may have needed. These Gandhis, for instance, is it a certainty that I will bump into them, in which case I need to take the ointment early on? It's possible, I don't know for sure. So maybe in the beginning I should sort of make sure that I get that ointment. And then somewhere along the way here, I'm not sure where I should go. There are some other options I should try. Sort of seemed to be on the right track. There may be sort of multiple paths leading to this bit as well. I don't know. So I thought that went reasonably well, though. I mean, was a bit down on my skill. But yeah, it was an interesting playthrough, and again, I sort of bumped into lots of paragraphs where I needed spells or I could have used spells I didn't have, and they may or may not have been the right spells. And in some cases, when I was asked to do a spell and I didn't have it, the outcome seemed to be actually advantageous by not using the spell, so it can fool you a little bit. It seems to be quite cleverly written, this one, as a puzzle. So yeah. Oh, interesting thing about this book, of course, is that it's the spine is not the traditional green. It's it's more this color, really. It's sort of a reddish color, sort of orangey vermilion color. It's faded a bit. Because they didn't start the green spines until later. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting playthrough, and I'll be looking forward to playing this for a third time, which may or may not go as well as this time. I didn't use luck much this time, which is interesting. I did lose a lot of skill, but I did get good stats to start with, so I was okay with those. The stats were not the problem. The abilities were not the problem. It's about finding the right path, and so... But I've learned a few new things. I know the password to the castle, although it sort of seems a little bit unfair to go and just sort of blurt it out, even if without going and finding it again. But it's one of those things you can sort of do in these games. When you know something, you can go back and do it again. It's sort of part of the game and part of the intention of the game as well. In any case, I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I must sort of commend your patience as usual for having watched all the way through with me. If you have, unless you just skip to the end, which is possible. You may have done that too. I will play this another time, maybe tomorrow. No more playing today, I think. I think I've had enough of Fighting Fantasy for one day, because I played this twice now today. And I did the Aftermath episode as well earlier for Fighting Fantasy number 1, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. So it's been a busy day video-wise. So thanks for watching, and I'm glad that you stopped by to have a look. And I'll see you next time. So goodbye for now.